This is Ankita.
And this is Nalini.
And you are tuned in to Prickly Pears, the podcast where we celebrate uninhibited brown women and their prickly points of view. This season talks about purpose, and we have a very exciting guest with us today. But I'll let Nalini do the honors of telling us who our guest is.
If you were looking at this on video, you would think that it's me sitting twice, but it's actually my younger sister, Sonali. I'm so excited to have her because I know her entire life and I can, just like the elder sister that I've been, I can probably make corrections in all her answers and stories. But without further ado, Sonali, I will let you introduce yourself. Please tell our viewers and listeners
And
Ankita who you are.
So, hello everybody. Hi, Ankita. Hello, Didi. I'm Sonali. Beyond the usual introduction, the details of what my complete name is, what my profession is, let me show you the real me. I was a very creative, artistic child who was really fond of dancing, had her own Barbie world of herself, and mostly creative and enjoyed all the theatrics in the school, participating in annual day functions, sports day events, and was really into the world of glamour. And somehow I have turned quite opposite, and now I'm an officer in the armed forces.
I will let that sink in. Because it's taken me and my family also a long time to let that sink in, that this girl who would dance and get ready and do makeup every single day of her childhood, from maybe when she was 5 years old to 14 or 15, she is not allowed to wear makeup to work. What did you want to be, Sonali, when you grew up?
My first ambition was to be Miss World. I was really motivated to see my school senior, Priyanka Chopra, Lara Datta. So I also wanted to participate in the Make Queens and then eventually go on to the Miss India beauty pageants and be a beauty queen, as they'd call. Subsequently, I also wanted to be an air hostess.
You wanted to be an air hostess when we all realized that the height for Miss India is 5 feet 6 inches, and she did not, by far, like she was not even close. So we had to find a substitute profession as a family for her, which turned out to be air hostess. But then, Shelly, what happened?
But then we were stuck in some bad turbulence, and then it really changed my mind. And I was like, nope, sorry, not happening. So I then moved on, exploring different worlds.
But okay, now that you're in the armed forces and one of the very, very, very few women in the country that even take this call, and you know, a lot of our listeners always wonder, we are talking about purpose in this season. As someone who has switched careers and ended up so many years later as an armed forces officer, what are your thoughts on purpose?
So, purpose, I'd say, is a very broad term. It's very broad, it's very dynamic, and also it's very subjective. When we say it's your purpose, it's not something that you achieve in a day, it's not something that you achieve even in a year. For example, winning a single court case or helping or impacting one individual's life cannot be called as a purpose because it grows and you have to let it. So purpose that ways keeps growing and you have to find your own purpose every single day.
Given you said that, do you think you have found your purpose?
At this stage of my life, I'm happily saying this, that yes, I think I have found my purpose. So being a lawyer also, I've kept the definition of my purpose very inclusive.
And what is it?
Early on in life only, I realized that I seek happiness. And while seeking my happy place, I like to spread happiness and cheer in other people's life.
I know that you were a corporate lawyer. You know, after your class 12th, we pushed you into all sorts of, like, as Indian families do, we pushed you into giving all engineering exams, law exams. And law was not just one, it was just one of the things that you applied for. And then turned out you became a lawyer. Okay, you got through law school, you became a lawyer, and then ended up in corporate law. Let's start there. You were earning good money. And somehow you, like, at least I remember that you were not very happy, and then you made some changes. What was going on in your mind at the time?
So, for explaining this entire journey and the shift and the reason behind it, I'll take you back in time. I'll take you through my entire life journey. So, I was born as a fauji kid, an infantry officer's daughter. So, naturally, we lived in really remote areas. where we learned to value little things of life and find little joys in difficult situations. And I saw the camaraderie in the community living, the strength and the brotherhood in that entire setup, which is a rarity in the civil world. So I grew up to be a lawyer, and I fell in love with the subject. You can create immense impact in someone's life. Then I joined corporate law. It was a good cushy job. I was making a lot of money, yes, undeniably so. However, there were times, and the thrill of the corporate life and the thrill of the legal world really kept me motivated for a certain amount of time to keep going, because as they say, law is a jealous mistress. So it truly is, and all of your time is taken by it. If you have to create a name for yourself, it really does demand a lot. However, while all of this was going on, one day I just asked myself that is this it? That is there nothing more to life than this? As I said, that my purpose since always was to find a happy place. And then I asked myself that am I happy with this? That is this all that I want from life? Then the answer was a clear no. That from within I had this feeling that no, there is more to life, there is a life beyond this. So that is when I was certain that no, this is not what I want. Now the second question came to be that if not this, then what? And that was the time when I started introspecting that what do I see myself doing for the rest of my life when I wake up every single day? And that is when I started looking inside that what is it that I really love? And going back in time, I had always been mesmerized with the uniform, the fauji way of life, the Jai Hinds that would go on, the bugle that would sound at sunset time. And these were the little things that really gave me goosebumps. And also, if you'd remember watching Border 80 to 90 times with the same motivation every single time. So that was my calling. And it was a very tough choice, I'd say, because the entry in the JAG cadre, in the particular cadre that I am, is very erratic. There were like two gender neutral entries. In the entire India, among all the applicants, only two people would get selected. And I had to take in a year, in actually more than 1 year, 2.5 years or so, the time gap is. So that was a call that I had to take. But then I was like, fine, we'll stick to it. That once a decision is taken, you stand by it. That, and once in such a situation.
But I want to stop you here that at one point, like this, when the bugles were sounding in your head, you knew that you wanted to be part of Forge somehow, right? And there was a time where you were telling us, and I don't know, I think you should remember that, okay, like I will try and I will try to become a Fauji, but if not, I'm okay to be a Fauji wife, right? Like I will just marry a Fauji and I will figure out, I will open a dance school because I love dancing. And you had immense clarity about this, and we could not understand it at this point, like being your family, that you were earning lakhs of rupees a month, which sometimes you would just randomly transfer in my account. I still remember because at least I'm not able to use it, go use it yourself. And you would just put money in my account because you didn't know like what to do with the money. And then you were okay to leave everything and not earn anything and live with a Fauji officer. And it's not like you were dating a Fauji officer. Like this was just out of the blue. So where was that coming from? Was it because the environment, like you just wanted that environment?
Because I was not ready to make peace with the fact that I will not be a part of this world. All of this setup, this environment, this bonding, this camaraderie, I could not be okay with the fact that I'll no longer be there. So either myself or through somebody, I had to be there. And as I said, that I just really looked for happiness. So earning money was not the prime choice that I had made. It was not a priority in my life. Yes, I was getting in it. And today I am thankful to it, because that also in itself was a very different exposure and a very important situation when you are fresh out of college. It gives you a lot of confidence in yourself and a stepping stone to the rest of your life. But at the same time, it was somehow not my happy place. So I took that decision.
You knew your happy place was in a cantonment or like a defense area, and at least physically you
Yes.
knew you wanted to be, which is so interesting because I'm reading this book which I want to show, like Finding Your North Star, and the book actually talks about closing your eyes and thinking, which you did exactly this, but obviously you hadn't read this book. Like, this came from within, that you close your eyes and like the physical senses and feelings of things that bring you joy will guide you to your north star. So it is like, for me it's actually amazing to
Absolutely.
hear that you, because you're telling this to me for the first time, that you actually heard and felt the physical sense, and that's why. Anyway, let's go on with the story. If we go back to your childhood, you never played any sport. You thought you were physically weak. It's not like you ever even tried to be like very good at anything physical. You just decided that dolls were your thing and dancing was your thing, and you never did anything else physical. And for this, what did it need? What did an SSB, for most of our listeners, they don't know what this is. Like, what does it take to even go through the selection process?
So I accepted my weakness. That was my first step. That I went there, and when I was asked that what is your weakness, I accepted it, that it is physical strength, and I was open to becoming better. And even in SSBs, it is seen that okay, it is a trainable quality. It's not like a character or something which is very inbuilt and can't be changed. So to work on.
And then what happened? So you gave your SSB, the service selection board, for people who don't know. Like, it's a common selection procedure for all armed forces. And then they have a standardized psychology test, physical test, written test, right? Like, so okay, you went through SSB and you were not the strongest, if I remember, by far, like in all the candidates. But as you said,
In
in
physicals,
physicals,
yes.
okay. And you
Physicals.
made up for all the other stuff. What happened there? Like, you went missing from our lives for, like, obviously because you are not allowed phones and any of that. Do you want to share today what used to happen in the academy, because you didn't tell us back then?
So, absolutely, that was, I was thrown into the middle ocean. I felt that I was a pampered kid, as you know. However, when I went there, to the academy, from ironing my clothes to washing it at the same time to just preparing the uniform for the next day and being at the right place, right time, and right rigs, it was such a challenge because even to make my own bed properly without a single crease, all of this was a new thing for me, which may not be the same for others who have either stayed in hostels or have had a life in which they've been doing all of that. But for me, it was quite a challenge. And then, of course, like before going to academy, I had hair till my waist, and when I went to the academy, it was like a whirring sound of the razor, and my hair was gone. That was and I felt my first reaction was that I was just looking at myself in the mirror and laughing that oh my god, I can look this bad. But then with time I also realized that it's not appearance that defines you. I used to actually look like a skinny boy, young boy. And I remember that during midterm breaks, when I would go in the security check, sometimes the lady police constable standing there, she would direct me to the men's line. That no, what are you doing here? Go to that line. So, so those were moments and milestones that actually transformed my life. But even through all of that, even through the sleepless nights or the meals skipped or the just the tough routine, the never ending running there, and how I felt when I was rolling on the roads bare skin, and how I felt the skin burning, and all those were times when it was just the mental strength that took me forward. I would give myself short goals that, okay, you've survived till breakfast, you can do it till lunch. Then at lunch, I would say that, yay, I survived and I made it to lunch, let's go till dinner. I did not see the entire period as, oh my God, I have to survive in this place for all these months. No, you have to break it down to just hourly basis, to minutes sometimes. And I was like, it was just that you have to stick to the decision, that if you have taken a stand, there was no way of not doing it.
You said this was very aligned to what you wanted to do for the rest of your life. Like the eventual, after the training, you knew that there was something which waited for you at the end of the tunnel, which you wanted to do for the rest of your life. But if this was something else, let's say like somebody was pushing you to be a professional athlete, maybe it would come, all the hardships would be pretty similar. But you think you would feel the same passion or the same mental strength for it?
To be honest, maybe not. But if somebody would say that you will be able to climb Mount Everest or you will be able to dive down the Mariana Trench, then maybe not, because this was my calling. And then I just went by each day and just told myself, this too shall pass. This was my mantra for survival.
Hang in there, or roll in there, or do push-ups in there. Basically whatever you did to get through that.
Absolutely, because I still remember the first time I was able to climb a rope. I was like, oh my god, this is happening. This is actually happening. I'm able to do it.
At this point, I want to ask you, were there any people that helped you in your journey of finding this purpose? And also, I'm struggling to connect what you said, that like bringing joy in other people's life and your own, and like this tough physical training and all these things, that really this was not bringing you any joy. How were you at that point connecting these two, or were you at all?
The thing was that I had seen the simplicity of the armed forces. I had seen the mental state, the faith, and the blind support that the armed forces personnel have for each other. So I really wanted to be that one person who would belong to this organization and would be able to put my legal skills to their use. The gullible nature of the men and the soldiers and the blind faith that they repose in the leadership, I that's a rarity in the outside world, where you are burdened with a lot of sale targets or promotion stress and all of these things. And these are very simple people living simple lives. I wanted to give my legal skills assistance to them, who do not have that kind of understanding of the law and who sometimes genuinely need it. So I wanted to, in some way or the other, render my support, my assistance, and contribution in their lives. I'd done a court martial which involved a young girl. It involved a young girl. I'd avoid the details, but that was one time when the mother of that little girl just hugged me after the court martial, and she just burst into tears. And when she was like, if you wouldn't have, stood up for her, if you did not support her, she would have been absolutely shattered. Now, those are the moments when it's all worth it.
And I'm going to ask you, are you happy? Is this the life that you imagined when you were at your corporate job making a lot of money, but then you wanted to go towards something else? Is this what you imagined?
Actually, it's better than what I had imagined, because the kind of job satisfaction that I get now and the kind of work that I'm able to do right now, and how I can help people who are just disconnected and away from the civilization and just looking after their cases and assisting them in certain things, certain aspects of their lives, it really gives me that sense of satisfaction and happiness. So I'd say it's better than what I dreamt about.
Sonali, people like you and me have seen the armed forces, so we knew a little bit of at least what it entails, or you could hear the bugles in your mind because you had heard them before, right? What if there is someone today, like so many girls, and we know that not enough girls choose this profession, despite now Indian armed forces even opening up different levels of jobs for women, including sailors, jawans, soldiers, officers, everything. So tell me, like, what should people ask themselves, or like what is that voice that they should find or capability they should find inside them to even like get themselves to apply?
So, if you're at that stage in life when you probably have the option of joining National Cadet Corps, which is available in schools and colleges, you can definitely expose yourself to this kind of a lifestyle. NCC gives you a lot of opportunities, from firing to sailing to attending camps to life survival skills. All of these things can be explored at a very young age also. Even in college, you can start off if you did not avail this option during your school time. even if you haven't tried any of those things, there are so many entries after BTech also and after your normal graduation that you can be a part of the armed forces and at least apply. Take that first step, go attend a service selection board interview. It's a mini world in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I remember an incident where my friend Manish, that you know, so he went for SSB, but he eventually never joined the forces. He still has a big framed photo of his service selection board. Like when you get through it, you get a photo, I think, of the batch that you were with. And he still has that hanging in his living room because he says that
Yes.
it was such a transformative experience for him to go through those many days that even in his today's corporate job in Singapore, he still looks at that and finds that inner motivation to go on with life and do the things that in the right way as a fauji would. So I totally agree. I mean, I missed that chance in life, but I think like many people there are out there that don't, and comes back to our topic of prickly pears, that you were never prickly as a person, since you were a child, of course, with dominating sister like me and dominating parents like our parents. I think you were the absorb it all kind of foam in our family in general. But when it came to finding or going after the life that you really wanted, you wouldn't listen to anyone. I still remember that you came home after putting up your papers and like quitting your job at your law firm and told mummy that I've quit my job, I'm quitting, like you can't tell me what to do anymore. And you both used to live by yourselves, just the both of you, and you told her I have quit my job. And that was the first prickly behavior we had ever seen from you, and at such a pivotal moment. But there are a lot of women like you in the country, right, that don't grow up like always rebelling against things. Like I rebel for random things also in life sometimes, which I shouldn't. But
Yes.
there's so many more people like you. Tell me, like, how did you, what should they learn from you?
Because that was the time when the calling was so strong that I had to take a stand. I was so clear and I had that clarity of thought in my mind that no, this is not what I want and this is what I want. So, and this is, everybody's life is their own. It's your own battle. Nobody else would fight it for you. So, for that, sometimes even though you're not generally the kinds who would just go against your parents' wish or your family's wish, but when something so instrumental comes to you, that when something that your life depends on comes, then you have to take that strong, bold step and then you have to stick to it. And that, gives you more strength because when you have rebelled against everybody and taken a step in that direction, it will keep you motivated for longer.
So, Sonali, I want to obviously keep continuing this chat, but we are at time for today. So, is there any one final thing that you want to share with all those prickly hearts that are still blooming and they haven't maybe gotten the courage to make that change or rebel that one time?
So, if there's somebody who is listening to this conversation right now and is in a dilemma whether to do it, whether to not do it, whether to take that step or not, how's it going to turn out? Trust me, even I had all of those doubts, second guesses, and that, jittery feeling, that flutter in the stomach that, oh my God, how are things going to work out? But to them, I just say that trust your feeling and don't be afraid to take that step. Things will pan out and it'll all get aligned, and if not, then you would know that this is not something that is made for you. But just don't be afraid to walk out, don't be afraid to step in that direction. So all the best.
Thank you, and thank you for sharing your journey with us today. With this, we're out.